Boom, boom. We are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's your boy, Nolan Hawkeye Anthony here. And I hope you guys are having a fantastic Saturday, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Well, of course, Iowa always manages to make games way tighter than they need to be, way closer than they need to be. It's quite frustrating, really. They get the ball, what was it, on the 30-yard line? By the way, the Iowa Hawkeyes beat the Minnesota Golden Gophers 27-22, 27-22. In Alex Padilla's second start, he is now 2-0. And we do have a lot to talk about there, okay? But Iowa always makes it way harder than it needs to be. And it's so infuriating because, and I'm not going to go down this too long because ultimately I'm very happy that Iowa won. They are now tied with Wisconsin. Obviously, Wisconsin has the tiebreaker because they won head-to-head, but Iowa but still, all it takes is one loss and Iowa to keep winning. And Iowa is in good shape. But I got to tell you guys, it really is so exhausting being an Iowa Hawkeye fan sometimes. Iowa never, ever just does what they are supposed to do, rarely. And then in games where they aren't supposed to do what they do, such as the game against Ohio State where they bludgeon Ohio State, things like that. For a team who plays the right football and doesn't turn the ball over and things like that, they really do make it way closer than it needs to be. And here's my question, and I am curious what you guys think, and I will get to your guys' comments shortly. My question is, you have the ball on the 30-yard line. Who's better, your offensive line or your running back, Tyler Goodson or Gavin Williams? By the way, we haven't seen as much Gavin Williams as I would have liked to have seen since Ivory Kelly-Martin is gone. Are you telling me that Ivory Kelly-Martin is that much better than Gavin Williams, not to use him ever? Anyways. Sorry, guys. I'm just sharing this out. What's better, Iowa's offensive line or Tyler Goodson? I think the answer is simple. Tyler Goodson is better. And the reason why I asked that question is, so what? You mean to tell me that Brian Ferentz, you mean to tell me that you have more confidence with a backup quarterback just 2 weeks ago and an offensive line that is absolutely trash as opposed to handing the ball off to Tyler Goodson or Gavin Williams just to see what happens? It is infuriating sometimes, guys. But anyways, I don't want to go down this too long. Like I said, the news is good. Iowa beats Minnesota 27-22. By the way, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Help me get to 1,000 subs. I will put the PayPal link in the description. Like, comment, and share. Like I said before, you would be surprised how much sharing really does help. And I get it, on your guys' end, you're like, well, why would, I don't want to share. I don't want to be associated with Nolan. I don't want any of my friends to know that I watch Nolan. I get it. Okay. I have the same thoughts sometimes. Just not towards myself, towards other people. But it really does help. So, if any of you guys have the courage to share it out, I hope you do. So Iowa is tied. Purdue is likely going to fall to Ohio State. Iowa is now technically tied, but even more technically, they are just behind Wisconsin. And I think the obvious thing we need to get to is Alex Padilla. Alex Padilla and the passing game. Number one, and I think that this is very important to note, Alex Padilla has virtually zero game film on his tendencies. And I got to tell you guys, okay, as a guy who played Division I water polo myself, the number one thing that separates the collegiate level from the high school level, it's simple, very simple. It's the attention to detail when it comes to things like watching film. When you're in college, that's your job to watch film. It's your job. Spooky. It's your job. That's what you do. If any of you guys understand that reference I just gave, the spooky reference, let me know. And Alex Padilla, there's virtually zero game film on him. The second thing that was obvious to me, and I said this here, I said it in my comment right here. Here are some, by the way, if you're not following me on Twitter, go and follow me over there at 247 Hawkeye. This is one of my posts. Classic, not on Twitter, but classic Iowa football, not scoring a touchdown to ice the game when the ball is on the 3-yard line, winning the game despite having the football half the time as the opponent. Many thoughts on this game. Number one, Padilla's ability to extend play is a much needed aspect to Iowa offense, not necessarily for the actual rushing yards, rather to keep defense honest. Number two, Keegan Johnson and Arlen Bruce, for that matter, have touchdown/natural ability is the difference between them and Tracy/Reganey. Sorry about the spelling, guys. It's terrible. Reganey with fumble, obviously. Johnson has had drop balls today, but has massive playmaking ability. So number two, I said it right there, is that Padilla offers an element, and again, it's not the actual rushing yards that Padilla gets, because I don't even know that he had any rushing yards today. I really don't. I'm not sure Alex Padilla had any rushing yards today. It is quite simply the fact that he can extend plays. It's the fact that he can. Brian Ferentz, one thing I did like today about his play calling was how often he got Alex Padilla out of the pocket. I like that. It makes the defense chase. And when the defense chases, it makes it more likely that they will make a mistake in their coverage. I like that. I really, really do. Plus, you're using a skill of Alex Padilla's, which is his legs. And then another thing that I saw from Alex Padilla is he's a playmaker. Multiple times today, he made some throws that nowhere in a million years Spencer Petras could ever make, because he simply doesn't have the wheels. He doesn't have the wheels. Doesn't have it. So that's first and foremost there. Okay. The other thing is I wasn't that impressed by Padilla's game today. There were dropped passes, but Spencer Petras was dealing with the exact same thing. The touchdown pass that Padilla had to Keegan Johnson was more Keegan Johnson than a straight up dime pass, but he did his job. The other thing, and the last thing I want to say in my initial assessment of Alex Padilla is, and I hope you guys in the comment section are being as honest as I am right now about his performance. I counted 3 passes that could have been intercepted. 3. It could have been 4, but definitely 3. Minnesota is going to go back and watch the film and say, why didn't we get at least one of those? So that's that. That's my assessment of Alex Padilla. I thought he did good. I don't think he utilized his legs as much as he can as far as actual yards. But again, the element is there, and it helps I thought it technically would help the run game. It didn't, because Iowa's offensive line is so bad. It's so bad that it literally did not help the run game at all. But it still provided an element that hasn't been there before. I would have liked to see Gavin Williams more today, the big bruising running back, because again, and I said this many weeks ago, Tyler Goodson, probably the number one thing that bothers me with Tyler Goodson is the guy never hits the hole. And one of the top things my college coaches always said is take what is given to you, because in college, the speed of play is just so much faster. It's just bang, 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 bang. It's so fast. And so there's some times where it's just like, Tyler, just take it, just hit the hole and go, be done with it. And I would be able to excuse it if he was hitting these massive big play runs like Barry Sanders, but that's not really happening. It's not. So if that's not really happening, well, what do we need? Well, we need 4 or 5, 3, 4, 5, 6 yard rushes. So anyways, all right, let's go to the comments. I don't want to let them get too out of hand already. All right. Cooper Moffitt. By the way, Cooper Moffitt, one of my best friends in high school, his last name was Moffitt. I didn't get to watch it on TV, but I hear Padilla had a good day. I think that assessment is a super hashtag blame the quarterback person looking it. Listen, it was an average day. He didn't do great, but it wasn't bad either. It was an average day. Like I said, there were certain things that he did that are better than Spencer, and those things this Iowa offense needs. They need it. They do. But did he have a good day? I probably wouldn't go that far. I mean, the dude had less than 50% completion percentage. And like I said, 3 of the passes probably should have been intercepted. Skylar Mummert. Gavin Williams has more power, I think. I totally agree. I don't know why Iowa. I mean, how many times have we seen Iowa use power backs, but now all of a sudden they don't want to use it? I don't understand it. Michael Morin, I know it seems like we say this all the time, but I truly feel like Padilla, Williams, Bruce, and Johnson will be a transcendent offense. Mike, I could agree with you if I had any hope that the evolution of the offense was possible. I just don't see it. I think last year what we saw with the Iowa offense is probably the best we will see under Brian Ferentz and an Iowa offense until Iowa gets a new coach. But as far as Keegan Johnson and Arlen Bruce go, this is literally what I've been telling you guys for weeks now. That is the difference between them and Tyrone Tracy and Reganey. The touchdown pass that Keegan Johnson had, that is just pure, natural, elite playmaking ability. Reganey and Tracy don't have that. As a matter of fact, they literally do things like fumble the ball like Reganey did. The one thing he had today was his fumble. Not good. So I'm excited. I will say I'm excited about Arlen Bruce and Keegan Johnson. Excuse me, guys. Spaghetti Factory, Bob Loney, winning in spite of the head coach and play caller. True. So true. Spaghetti Factory, Minnesota hasn't won in Iowa since 1999. I probably should have put that in the title of the video. Minnesota still has not beaten Iowa since 1999. Cooper Moffitt, I really wish we would have beat Wisconsin. It spoiled our very promising season. Well, if Wisconsin loses, see, I'm not mad about Iowa losing to Wisconsin. I hate the 2 teams I dislike the most are Nebraska and Wisconsin, but Wisconsin's usually a good team. So I'm somewhat okay with Iowa losing to Wisconsin. I'm not okay with them losing to Purdue at all. And also Iowa is still, by the way, let's look at the Big Ten standings. Okay. Right now, so that you guys know that Iowa is still very much in contention of the Big Ten championship. Now, I'm with you as far as Iowa making the college football playoff. Yeah, the Wisconsin game definitely was, but I would probably pick Purdue as the team. Spooky. All right, there it is. Wisconsin and Iowa, both tops of the Big Ten right there, tied at 5-2. Like I said, Wisconsin loses one game, Iowa wins out. We're in, baby. Just win, baby. And we are in Indianapolis. All right, let's go back to the comments. By the way, guys, comment what you would grade Alex Padilla's game today. A, B, C, A+, all that stuff. I'm curious what you guys think. I would probably grade Alex Padilla as a B today. I'd give him a solid B. That's what I would give him. All right. Bob Loney, Padilla makes the weakness of the O-line seem like less of a weakness. True, until we start running the football, and then it's like, whoo, there it is again. Terrible. And one thing that Iowa did last week that they didn't do this week, they ran down the middle. This week, they decided, even though for weeks it hasn't worked, they decided to run on the outside towards the tackles, who are the worst graded tackles Iowa has had in years. It's just insanity. It's madness. It really is. All right. Cooper or Michael Morin. I love Goodson, but I think it's time to start splitting backfield duties. Mike, that is my favorite comment so far. I totally agree. It's not that Goodson is bad. He's just not as good as I thought. He doesn't hit the hole as much as I would like. I think Iowa needs to split the duties as well. I totally agree. Now, again, the O-line is worse than any of the running backs Iowa has, but I do think it's time to split the duties. I'm with you there. And his mom is a very sweet lady. She messaged me after one of the videos I did, and she was very, very sweet, very kind lady. Very, very kind. She probably won't like that I'm calling her lady. Woman. Very kind woman. All right. Cooper Moffitt. Goodson had good games against people like Kent State, but I can definitely see where you're coming from. Kurt Yedick could not run Padilla as there was not a backup quarterback. That's true. That's a good point. Thanks for pointing that out, Kurt. To be honest, I hadn't thought of that, but that is true. Iowa, but they did use them in the quarterback sneak, which is a play that can injure the quarterback. So, but yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm with you there. Blake Jameson, was Minnesota taking their time between plays? The huge differential in time of possession. Yes, they were. They were waiting for the clock to get down in order to wait for the sounds of the Iowa fans to go down. That's what they were doing. But also, when Iowa had the ball, it was either 3 and out or it was a touchdown from the first or second possession. Iowa had very few long drives today, if any. I don't think they had any, guys. I really don't. Hold on, give me 1 second, guys. So it just I keep there's aspects of this offense that makes me think that Iowa really can get this together, but I'm just, I'm kind of just at the point where I think Brian Ferentz is who Brian Ferentz is. And the most we can hope for is what we saw last year with the offense. That's as good as it's going to get under Kirk Ferentz. That's as good as it's going to get. And I hate to say that because I'm a very optimistic person, but it is what it is, guys. I don't think we will see any more improvement. I really don't. All right, more comments. Let's keep it rolling, guys. Blake Jameson was, I already got to that one. Kirk Yedick. No, they ran all over us. Yes, they did.
Kyle Robinson, Iowa's play calling on offense at the end of the game was horrible. Didn't give the ball to the fullback Pottenbaum on Iowa's last drive. It was 1st and goal after the turnover on downs. Wow.
Totally agree. In fact, I commented on it at the very beginning of the video. Literally, your offensive line is the worst position group on your team. So why in God's name are you doing a quarterback sneak, which literally depends? It depends on your offensive line getting push. What's better, the offensive line or Iowa's running backs? The running backs. So give the ball to the running backs and see what happens. Literally, that was the most Iowa thing I've ever seen. Just, 2-3 quarterback sneaks in a row, as opposed to just pounding the rock down Minnesota's throat to see what happens. But I keep telling you guys, most coaches, if they weren't coaching, this is from my own experience. I believe it's true. I heard Clay Travis say this. Most coaches in college, if they weren't coaching in college, they'd be gym teachers. And there's nothing wrong with being a gym teacher or anything like that. It's a perfectly fine job. But all it's saying is that these guys are not as smart as we sometimes think they are. And that's a fact. They're not. There's plenty of things that we see as fans that they just don't see. And it just is what it is.
Kurtik Yedick gives Alex Padilla a B. Mike O'Moran, Padilla gets a B. I agree. Rob Loney, message retracted. Cooper Moffitt, Nebraska could beat Wisconsin, but Nebraska always makes a mistake at the end of close games. I can't believe Scott Frost is still there. I really can't. Galen Snakey, they need to run in the middle where the tablet is. Totally agree with you 100%. Rob Loney, I would say Padilla gets a C. Average. He made some good throws. He made some bad throws. He did exactly what the lackluster play calling can give you.
Rob, we are in total agreement there. I'm with you 100%. Obviously, I gave him a B. You gave him a C, but I'm with you 100%.
Andrew Kirk, my guy. What's up, dude? Ari Gold, Hawks win. Woo! Woo! Yeah, they do. Kirk Yedlick, Hawks are taking years off my life. Michael Moran, outside the line, Iowa has the talent on offense, just not the play calling.
I said this in the pregame video, and I forget who posted this, but Iowa has the second most players on active rosters in the NFL, in the Big Ten. It's Ohio State, and then it's Iowa, which begs the question, why has Iowa not done more with the talent that they have? Because there's like this common thing where Iowa is not athletic, they're not super talented, but we all know that's not true. Literally, they have guys running 4.3s all the time, and they have 32 or 33 players in the NFL. They've just come up short, and it's time for us as fans to say, no, we can do more. So let's do more. So,
Kyle Robinson, frustrating. Rob Loney, if that's the best we'll get, Indianapolis is not going to happen.
Maybe. I mean, I really do think because of the rest of Iowa's schedule being so bad, even though Nebraska always gives Iowa trouble, I think it's possible that Wisconsin loses and Iowa wins out, and then Iowa's in. I think that's totally possible. Now, is it more probable that Iowa loses if they continue to leave points on the scoreboard and not take advantage of all the things they should be taking advantage of? Sure.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Ari Gold, go Big Red. I think that's what you're saying. Dr. Nigel Pisswater. That's funny. I didn't care if Indianapolis has as long as Padilla stays on the field, so he's ready for next year.
I got to say, I totally disagree. And respectfully, I disagree.
Kirk Ferentz only has so many years left. He's not a young coach anymore. So there's not these years anymore where it's kind of like, it's just that year. You know, we didn't do it last, but we have next year. No, it's coming towards the end of Kirk Ferentz's time. So it's time that he starts getting to Indianapolis. And in my opinion, this is one of the most talented rosters he's had in his tenure. You look at 2002, 2003, the 2009 team, the 2016 team, very talented teams. And this Iowa team is right up there. There's no reason they can't make it to Indianapolis. And I'm not going to stop banging that drum. They should be in there. I want them in there. And it's just that simple. This team is too good to just basically have a throwaway season where it's like, just throw it away. So I do see what you're saying, that Padilla, he is the future of this Iowa team, but even that, I don't even really agree with, honestly. I think right now, the best thing we can say about Padilla is that he helps the run game. I mean, that's the best thing we can say. Whereas Spencer, we couldn't say anything positive about him, but Padilla, we can at least say he helps the run game. But anyway, still, thanks for the support. Checking out the show, Dr. P. Water. Cooper Moffitt, Scott Frost, Matt Campbell, and PJ Fleck have never beat Iowa. Yeah, that's crazy. It is. Does that say more about Iowa or those teams or those coaches? Ari Gold, my 33-30 prediction was close. Yeah, it was. It was closer than I thought. Although I predicted Iowa would win this game 28-19, so I was closer. Kyle Robinson, Padilla was a B-. I love the tempo of Padilla with the flow of the offense. I will say one of the things that I did like about Iowa's game plan was how many deep shots they took today. I did like that. Keegan Johnson and Arlen Bruce both are capable of burning the top off the defense. So why not? Why not? And it worked today in certain aspects. So why not? I'm good with that. Kurt Yedlick, message retracted. Galen Sankey, they need a new offensive coordinator. Michael, here's the thing about the offensive coordinator situation, guys. We all know it's not going to change. The only way that the offensive coordinator is going to change is if Brian Ferentz takes a head coaching job somewhere else or Kirk Ferentz retires. In which case, Brian actually might get a promotion. Even though I highly doubt it, though. There's too much negativity around Brian for him to get that head coaching job. And then me specifically, what I think of Brian Ferentz, I think he is a good coach. I just don't think he is an adequate offensive coordinator. But as far as being a coach and developing talent, it's obvious he can develop talent. If you look at what he did with the offensive line, if you look at what he's done at the tight end position, he's a good coach. He develops guys, he coaches them up. And to be honest, he's a good recruiter, so that's good. But it's the other stuff. He's just not a good coordinator. So, and again, I know this is going to sound like I'm coming to Brian Ferentz's defense, and I'm not. I'm really not. But if you look at the stats, Brian Ferentz is in his last two seasons or whatever it is, especially last year, are the best offensive numbers Iowa has had of any of the offensive coordinators under Kirk Ferentz. I don't know if it's Kirk Ferentz, if it's more so that he doesn't know how to hire offensive coordinators, if it's more so Brian Ferentz. I don't know specifically what it is, but at the very least, we got to be honest, and Brian Ferentz has done better than the other offensive coordinators. Now, does that mean he's a great offensive coordinator? Of course not. So, and he's just not going anywhere. Man, I spent way too long talking about him. All right. Joe Winston, I live in Hong Kong. Wow, we got somebody from Hong Kong up in here. That's crazy. I have one neighbor that's a Wolverine, two that are Badgers, and 5 Gophers. This win felt good. Go Hawks. Thanks for the support, Joe. That's awesome that you're watching this all the way from Hong Kong. I hope Hong Kong gets their freedom situation figured out. I'm all for freedom, baby. So I'm rooting for you guys over there. I'm rooting for you. Dr. Nigel Piwar, Ari Gold, I agree 100%. Petrus is now Iowa's backup. He might even, who knows, maybe Deuce Hogan can pass him up. On the Padilla front, you guys need to be ready for the fact that once there's enough tape on Padilla, he is going to have an adjustment period where the defenses pretty much are going to have their way with him because they have all of his tendencies. Now, a sign of a good quarterback is a guy who can get past that and get over that. So we'll see when that time comes if he can do that. Andrew, Joe Winston, I have to get up at 3 a.m. to watch. Well, you're still here. I appreciate that. That is, I get up at 4 a.m. every day anyways, too, myself. So welcome to the club, brother. Andrew Kirk, it's like there's a code to beat Iowa, just punch in the numbers. Some of these coaches know the code, others don't. I would agree with that assessment. That's true. Wisconsin, they know how to do it. Penn State, for the most part, knows how to do it. But these other coaches, they don't. And I think the reason is simple. They overthink it. They overthink it because they think they're much smarter than they actually truly are. And that's why they can never beat a team like Iowa because, Iowa is fundamentally sound. With Petrus, we are B-, and with Padilla, we are B+. Alex is agile and decisive. Michael Morin, if Brian becomes the head coach after Kirk, he better hand over the play sheet and headset to a young, innovative mind. I agree with you totally there, Mike. And listen, I'm not totally against Brian being the head coach of Iowa. I don't think it will work, but I do think it's possible that he could be a good head coach, even though he wasn't a great offensive coordinator. Okay. Kirk Ferentz was an O-line coach, and then he's a great offensive, great head coach. Now, would Kirk Ferentz be a good OC or a good DC? Probably not. He probably wouldn't, but he's a good head coach. He knows how to run a team. So I think it's possible. But there's other coaches I would pick before Brian Ferentz. I'll tell you that much. Spencer is steady and predictive. Rob Loney, think about who the offensive play callers have been. I could hire high school play callers that are far and away better than what Iowa has under Kirk Ferentz. LOL. Agreed. True that. Cooper Moffitt, Deuce Hogan has the best name out of any current Iowa quarterback. That should count for something. True. Real quick, guys, let's look at the scores across Big Ten. Michigan State thrashed Maryland. Ohio State thrashed Purdue. Iowa got the win over Minnesota. Rutgers beats Indiana. Wisconsin beats Northwestern. And Michigan beats Penn State. It would have been nice if Penn State could have beat Michigan. It would have helped Iowa a lot in the college football playoff rankings, but it is what it is. All right, guys, let's wrap this up. Listen, a win's a win. As long as Iowa keeps winning, they will have a shot to play in Indianapolis. Was it pretty? No, it wasn't. But there were good things, such as Keegan Johnson. Even though he had some drop balls, it's obvious he's explosive. He's a playmaker. Same with Arlen Bruce, and that is what the Iowa Hawkeyes need. The offensive line still sucks. They're still below average. So we'll see what happens there, but perhaps the run game with Padilla at the helm can improve. One thing I would like to see is Padilla run the football a little bit more because Iowa does need some rushing yards. They do need that. So hopefully maybe that can get incorporated into the offensive game plan. We shall see. The other thing is the defense was a little bit shaky today. I haven't talked about that yet, but the defense was a little shaky. What they allowed in the run game was just not okay. It was not okay. Now again, Minnesota is a solid team that will be bowl eligible, but it wasn't okay. Let's look at the team stats here. Total yards 277 to 409. 206 passing yards to 220, 71 rushing yards for the Iowa Hawkeyes compared to 189 for Minnesota. Yards per play, 5.7 to 4.9. First downs 14 to 23. And time of possession 19 minutes and 26 seconds compared to 40 minutes and 34 seconds. Classic Iowa victory, winning a game in which they have the football 20 less minutes than the other team. But again, guys, this is a step in the right direction. Iowa is still tied at the top of the Big Ten West, and that's all that matters. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. It's Saturday night, of course. Thank you guys so much for hanging with me. If you're not subscribed, I do hope you consider subscribing. Help this channel get to 1,000 subscribers. Like I've said, when you do that, it's not that you're necessarily helping me as much as you're kind of investing in yourself, because the more successful this channel gets, the more I can do as far as Iowa Hawkeye content. And more time I can put into it and invest in it. So I hope you guys consider doing that. But again, either way, I very much appreciate you guys hanging with me. I love doing this. It's so fun. I feel like I know each and every one of you guys in the comment section, and it is great. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow. And facts are feelings, your feelings don't matter. Love y'all. Hawkeyes get the victory, 27-22. See you guys next week. Love y'all. Bye.